Hey there YouTube, welcome back to Nathan Fry Outdoors. Thank you so much for joining me today out here in the woods. And today I'm here to give you my 5 best tips of how you can get better trail cam pictures. So my number 1 tip for you is to mount your cameras lower to the ground. I'm 6'1", and I naturally work with my hands here around my chest. So for years that's where I'd mount my trail camera. I'd walk up to a tree and I'd stick it on the tree and mount it right there. And I was getting good pictures of deer farther away, but the deer who walked by really close to the trail camera would walk right underneath the camera because they're just not that tall. This year I've got this camera mounted only about knee height, and it's doing a wonderful job at getting me great pictures. Okay, number 2 is to change the angle of the trail camera on the tree. You can see this trail camera I already have mounted low to the ground like I suggested in point number 1, but the ground here slopes down and away from the trail camera to where the trail is. And so if I go any lower on this tree, all I'm going to end up getting is ferns. But if I have it flat on the tree, I'm still shooting above the backs of the deer. So I've taken a few pieces of plywood and made a little wedge to change the angle to point it down a little bit more. Now, depending on how your trail camera straps onto the tree, it may be possible just to use like a branch or a little block of wood. You can just experiment with that. Or they also make mounts that would strap to the tree, and then the trail camera would screw to that mount with a little ball joint, and you would be able to adjust it as necessary. Again, you guys know I'm on a budget, so a few scrap pieces of wood did it, but you have to experiment and see what works for you and your setup. My 3rd tip is to really consider the tree that you pick and the trail cam placement in relation to any trails that you want to monitor. For instance, this tree right here is too close to the deer trail that I'm actually standing on right now. If I was to put it at a 90-degree angle to this trail, a deer would probably walk by, trigger the camera, but then it would be past the camera before the camera actually snapped that picture, and I would miss it or maybe get its tail. Also, with the angle of a camera, you're just going to be better served with a tree that's a little bit farther off the trail. But also, when you're putting a trail camera over a trail, instead of putting it at a 90-degree angle, the best thing to do is turn it at an angle. So for instance, right now, this trail that I'm standing on is running this way. I would take the trail camera and I would point it this direction so that the deer are walking into the camera. It's going to trigger it, it's going to take their picture, and then they're going to walk on by. Instead of trying to do it at a 90-degree angle where you have much less time where the deer is in frame. Okay, number 4 is to be careful of a lot of direct sunlight in the shot of your trail camera. Or also be careful of a lot of sunlight and shadows combined. This spot where I'm standing now, I've got a trail camera behind me, and there's just enough of an opening in the tree cover that a lot of sunlight beats down. And what I found is I get a lot of false triggers on my camera. I get videos or pictures that end up just being blank. And it's usually during certain times of the day, when the sun is just at the right spot to beat down through the tree cover. So that's something you definitely want to be aware of. And you also want to avoid pointing the camera directly in the way that will get the glare from the sunrise or the sunset and will cause you to have some sort of fuzzy, blown out pictures. Number 5 is this. Consider putting your trail camera over a mineral block or some sort of attractant like this mineral block I have here. Now, in Pennsylvania, we're not allowed to hunt over a mineral block or any kind of bait. So I only use this method in the spring and early summer, or even sometimes in the winter. And what it does is it provides nutrition for the deer, but it also helps you see what's in the area. Now, the downside of this is when you remove this for hunting season, the deer patterns are probably going to change. So you do need to use caution in using it in an area where you plan to hunt, and then you think all these deer are here and you move it and perhaps the patterns change a little bit because the deer are no longer attracted to that area. But it is a wonderful way to see what bucks are in the area, to watch them grow. I've been really having fun this year with this one, just watching week after week the bucks getting larger and larger. And so this is something you may want to consider, but again, use it with caution. All right, one last bonus tip for you. This won't help you get better pictures, but it will make your process a lot more streamlined of getting your pictures off your trail camera, and that's this. Make sure you have at least 2 SD cards for every camera you have. The reason is you can go out and check your trail camera, you can put one SD card in, take the full one out, and go home and put the pictures on your computer. If you only have one SD card and you don't have a way to check it in the field, you have to take that SD card home, check it, and bring it back. So make sure you have at least 2 SD cards so you can just swap out the SD cards, take them home, check them, and put your fresh one in. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope these tips are helpful to you. If you've gotten a great picture on your trail camera, let me know down below. If you've got a tip that I didn't mention, put that in the comments. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and remember that until next time, to get off YouTube, and get outdoors.